What is up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, what I'm going to be talking about is how I lost my entire net worth at the age of 34. So I'm going to begin this video. I'm going to be backtracking on my age, how I found out about what I found out, and what led me to basically investing into it. So stick around, stay tuned, and be sure to, if you like this video, be sure to like it, subscribe, and yeah, let's get into it. So I'm gonna start how I found out about this. It is cryptocurrency. If you guys know anything about crypto, it's highly volatile. So I knew from the get-go, I knew exactly what I was getting myself involved with. So take it back, we're in 2026 right now, and the year was 2020, coronavirus. And at the time, I was self-employed. It was 2020 December, to be very frank with you. 2020 December, it was just around Christmas time, and I was self-employed, and I got a huge deposit into my bank at the time. So I was self-employed, coronavirus was happening, and one day randomly I was just on my phone. Crypto was a thing. It was, people were talking about it, but they didn't really understand what it was. And I was on Coinbase. One day randomly, just before Christmas, I was about to enter the TD Bank, and I was self-employed, so I didn't have time to, go to the mall to buy my mom and my two sisters presents or gifts or anything like that, because the operation where I was contracted under, it was a 24/7 operation. So it was, it was dealing with like organs and aircraft parts and so on and so forth. So it was a 24/7 operation. So it was probably around I want to say it was Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, I opened up my Coinbase. I drove into the bank to withdraw money to give it to them for Christmas, 500, whatever. So before I turned into the parking lot, I pulled over to the side of the road, the parking lot, and I was just on my phone, just scrolling. I don't know why I pulled over or why I was waiting, but I guess because of the long drive, it was like a 30-minute drive. I was just like, let me take a breather. Let me figure out what I'm gonna, how much I'm gonna take out, so on and so forth. So I was on my phone, and I ended up, my ADHD, I ended up going into Coinbase, and I'm looking around. I'm looking at all these new coins, and I was just scrolling. And I saw a coin called, I'm not even going to say the name yet. What grabbed my attention with this coin was 0.0000000000001. It was 9 zeros, 0 and then 0.9 zeros. So, the 0 decimal 9 zeros, 1. And I was like, what the heck is this? And I'm trying to figure out, like, the numbers had me, and it grabbed my attention. I'm like, and at this point, like, I did not figure anything about it, but I liked what I saw. I'm like, wait a second, if this 1 turns into 2, I've doubled my money. And I never thought that this coin, what I'm about to tell you about, this is Shiba Inu, all right? Shiba Inu, right? Shiba Inu, whatever. So, so I was looking at the coin and I was just like, how do I buy this thing? Because on Coinbase, it wasn't listed as yet, to my knowledge. Yeah, it wasn't listed yet. It was no buy button, but they had the coin displayed on their app. For whatever reason, I guess Coinbase at that time liked to display coins before they list them. So yeah, it was on the app, and I'm looking and I'm trying to figure out like, how do you buy this thing? And I went about my day. I withdrew the money and I went to my mom's house and we had Christmas dinner and so on and so forth, and we had a great time. So it was Old Year's night, all right? It was December, Old Year's night, and my older sister, and I was always this kind of person. I know some of you might be like, oh, some of you guys might be like, oh, that doesn't happen to me, and I don't believe him, or so on and so forth. But let me tell you what it is. I've known since I was a little kid, like I would get like these voices that comes through my head in a way that I can't control, but it's like God talking to me, right? Hold on, I'm not crazy, so chill. So it was All Year's night. I was at Universal Studios with my oldest sister, and we were watching the fireworks because it was All Year show, right? The All Year, show. And just before 12 a.m., and it was like 11:50. I remember this like nothing, because I'm gonna tell you guys, because there was another time like I got this same voice years later in my in my head, and it happened, but it was negative. It was a negative thing. But this one was a positive. So it was All Year's night. We're enjoying the time. It was 11:50, going into 10 minutes away, and I just looked up into like the sky, just like waiting for the fireworks. I looked at my sister, and we're having a great time. I can't remember who else we were with at the time, but that is not important. So I looked up and I just got like this gush of cool, like comforting wind that hit me. And I'm looking around. I'm not looking up at this time. Like it doesn't happen like when I look up or whatever. And this is not like a common thing that happens like, twice a year or so on and so forth. This happened to me in my life for like 4 or 5, 2 times that I can remember, to be honest with you. But the other times I probably did hear it, but I didn't pay attention. I don't know. So basically what the voice was, I remembered, keep in mind, I had this Shiba Inu coin in my head, like stuck with me. And I wasn't too knowledgeable about crypto at the time. And my attention was on it. A couple days went by, I'm at Universal. I get this voice in my head. Look what is gonna happen to crypto. Like I'm having goosebumps right now talking about it. Just this voice. Look what is gonna happen to crypto once the new year starts. That is exactly what was embedded into me by God, by the universe, and so on and so forth. And that was God telling me to execute, but I didn't have enough knowledge about cold storage wallets. I didn't have enough knowledge about how to purchase on-chain. So basically on-chain, for you guys that don't know, when you purchase on-chain, you're not buying on a decentralized finance exchange, which is basically like Coinbase or Kraken or so on and so forth, or I think Webull. I don't know if that's no, I don't think that's a crypto. I don't know, I don't use it. So, or crypto.com, that's a decentralized finance exchange. And With decentralized finance exchanges, what you do is like, okay, you have a card and you have money, you just directly exchange it and purchase this coin. And let's say, okay, you wanted to buy Bitcoin. You would type in your card number on crypto.com or Coinbase or whatever, and you will purchase that coin. So with that being said, Shiba Inu was not listed, and it was just displaying on Coinbase. And I never bought Shiba Inu at the time. So, because I didn't know, I didn't have enough knowledge. And crypto was still brand new. For most people, it was still brand new. Other people knew about it. But I want to say like the OGs, the real original gangsters, not gangsters like that. So I mean like the original guys, OG, they were purchasing on PayPal, and they were mining the coin like back in like 2010 and so on and so forth. They're the ones that really knew like what they were doing. So anyways, this is going to be a very long video, guys, so I hope you guys stick around. It's going to get juicy. I know I'm all over the place, but please give me, let me explain, because I have to paint you a picture. So we're in 2020, All Year's Night. I heard the voice, look what is going to happen to crypto in the new year. So comes around, I never ended up buying Shiba Inu. Now, it was, I want to say April or March or February that I went back. I forgot about it after then. I checked it for a couple of days in January and that was it. And in March and April, I looked back at this coin in 2021, March, April. End of January, this coin, like it dropped like 3 or 4 zeros from the 9 zeros. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, are you serious? So keep in mind, in December, I would have not went all in, but I would have put in a decent amount at the time of 2020. Because I could be transparent with you guys now, because this is it's long gone. I was gonna dump $5,000 into this coin. Keep in mind, there's a guy called, I don't want to really call his name because, but he's a very famous guy. He always wears like a gold mask. He bought Shiba Inu. He bought $8,000 on the time when I was gonna dump $5,000. Today, the guy's a billionaire. A billionaire. I know. I got even goosebumps talking about it. Like, it was just like, I didn't take enough time to learn about it. But anyway, so if I had dumped that $5,000 in this coin, by when it got its Coinbase listing and Robinhood listing, I want to say September. It was September, and that coin, Shiba Inu, my $5,000 would have rolled into becoming $900 million, right? And that is Shiba Inu. I didn't buy it. I didn't make 900 million. I had 50% of the knowledge, but not the other 50%, and here's why. So in April, I started to see Shiba Inu started to roll, and at that time, again, I still don't know about buying on chain or or so on and so forth. And I tried to do it, but the slippage when you try to buy on chain, you have to set a slippage amount, and you have to set it by 5%, 10%. And back then, this on-chain exchange, when I was using it, I could not understand. I tried YouTubing it, and I just had to keep working. Like I was, the work was distracting me. But this is why I hear a lot of people say that how your work distracts you from making real wealth and so on and so forth. Because like I said, I was working a 24/7 operation with a 24/7 operation company. So with that being said, I would try to be like, okay, let me buy $500, and I would put 5% slippage, and it would say, oh, rejected. I'm like, what the hell? So I watched the YouTube video, and I'm like, all right, let me up it to 7%, rejected. Okay, let me add it to 10%, 12%, and I kept going and going, and it's eating into the money that I'm putting it in. So I'm like, all right, whatever, man. So I lost big right here. It was still April, and I got FOMO. You know, you start seeing a coin move, and you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta chase it. And in 2020, I was 30 years old. I just turned 31 because my birthday is at the end of the year. I just turned 31 in 2020. No, I was 30 years old. And anyways, that's not important. So I got FOMO, fear of missing out. And April, I decided I was gonna dump $20,000 into Coinbase, and I was gonna buy I bought Bitcoin Cash. I wasn't knowledge. It took money to learn and lose. I didn't know about cold storage wallets. So I took the $20,000 and I bought Bitcoin Cash, and I left it on the exchange, guys. On the exchange. So about 2 days later, I was sleeping, and I was in my bed, I was sleeping, and it was about 4 a.m. and my phone keeps going off. And the company that I was contracted with, I had them on emergency bypass, so I know, like, okay, if they want me, my phone's gonna ring. It's not gonna just vibrate. So my phone's vibrating like, I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is all like text messages and emails and all kind of stuff. So basically what happened is that 2 days later, the hackers made their move, because you on the ledger, if you go on Etherscan or BNB scan or whatever, you can see people's transactions and what wallets is these tokens, what wallet is the token inside. And people can figure out, like, oh, is it an exchange wallet, or is it a cold storage wallet? So basically they ended up moving in. They went on a Coinbase. They changed the phone number, my phone number, to reset my password. They ended up changing that number to their number, whatever hacking number they used. They ended up breaking into my email. I had Outlook at the time. They broke into that, and what else they do? Basically, they got the thing, because they got the text message to reset my password on Coinbase sent to their phone, and they changed the password, and they cleaned me out. They cleaned me out of $20,000. And I tried to recover it as the best as I could, and eventually I did get back the money by the grace of God. I fought for that. It wasn't an easy, $20,000, but I got back the money. So I didn't give up. And I later on, let's just say the entire 2020 to 2021 bull run, I did not get involved. So I got to learn even more. I learned about I learned about cold storage wallets, and I had bought a cold storage wallet, and I bought it from Ledger, and nobody in America at the time was selling ledgers like Best Buy or so on and so forth. So I had to buy my Ledger cold storage wallet from France and wait. And I think I got it around after the whole episode. The whole episode with the $20,000 was why I decided to learn about cold storage wallets, and that's when I bought it. So I bought the wallet after the robbery. So that happened, and the bull run was over. And I learned about why did this bull run happen. And what I learned was Bitcoin halves every 4 years, all right? So meaning like, okay, if you're a miner and you get, in 2020, you got 10 Bitcoins for every one block, or no, for every 1,000 blocks you mine, you get a reward of 10 Bitcoins. And every 4 years, depending on, every 4 years, around every 4 years, Bitcoin halves. So instead of getting 10 Bitcoins, now the miners, they will get 5 Bitcoins. And now then around 4 years later, that 5 Bitcoins is going to turn into half, which is 2.5 reward Bitcoin for every 1,000 blocks that they mine. Because miners, they have to make money, so Bitcoin, it moves up. Electricity, isn't cheap, and, fuel, energy, all of that, whatever they use, solar, and so on and so forth. So I learned about that. So my self-employment ended we parted ways in 2021, November, just around my birthday. And what happened at this time, like for the past 2 years, since 2020, all that is on my mind is like, I need to buy a house. I need to, I'm running out of time. I'm getting older, and those are all things like I was juggling with the borderline of going into depression, and the crypto, it made me, got there. And the people I was contracted with at the time, it was spotty. Like, some days you're lucky, some days you're not, but I did make I made phenomenal money with them. I'm not gonna lie, it was a great journey. With that being said, I learned about, every 4 years, what is halving. I'm now a whole crypto minded person. End of 2021, that's when I got enough knowledge to take me to how I got where I'm going with this story. So with that being said, after, I was self-employed. Previously I worked in sales. I was selling timeshare in Orlando, and I was decent. I was good. And I mean, for 2.5 years, that's how I paid my rent. You know what I mean? So, and doing timeshare, everybody knows that timeshare is not an easy job. If you could sell timeshare, you could sell anything. You're grabbing people that's on vacation and selling them a $30,000 product, and they want to go to Disney and have fun. They want to go to Cape Canaveral to catch a cruise or whatever the case may be, and you gotta hold them down and try to get that money. So yeah, I did that for 2.5 years. So when I was after self-employment, I was like, damn, like I can't find anything that's gonna get me up there quick. So what I ended up doing, I'm like, look, I'm gonna have to swallow my pride, and I need something to keep me rolling, keep coming in instantly. So I went in and I got my CDL, and I knew from the jump when I got my CDL. I got my CDL because of my mom's brother, and he was telling my mom like, yeah, he can do X, Y, and Z, and he's gonna make this much, and so on and so forth, and he'll be good. So I got it, and that, family business, whatever, doesn't work out. So I ended up not going with him or, starting with him, doing anything. And I kind of liked it that way because sometimes like, I don't know, family and money is just like, oh, I can't pay you this week, I'm gonna pay you next week. I've been there, done that. I've been there with my father. So it's like, because I know you, I'm gonna bend the rules. And then they don't only bend the rules, they ended up breaking them. And anyways, so with that being said, I ended up going and get my CDL, and I knew from the jump when he flaked, he told my mom, I knew from the jump that I never got a CDL to go over the road or live that kind of life, or, like you could tell me like, oh yeah, you're gonna make 100,000 in this amount of time in a year. No, half those people are lying to you because, number one, you're out, 3 weeks you're out, you're supposed to be home one day. I don't even want to talk about that type of lifestyle. Whoever, if you guys do it, great, that's good. I applaud you guys for doing that type of work, but that's not nothing. Like I'm telling you, like, look at a pattern. I came from sales, I ended up being self-employed, and my vision for what I want for my life is completely different. I don't have kids. I don't have, if I had kids, my life would have been in a different position. And then if that was my option, then I would have took it. So I knew from the jump, I only wanted to be local if I do this. And I found a really great company at the time, and I ended up working with them for 18 months. And they were good to me at first, they were good, and then all of a sudden, like if you guys know anything about trucking, is like the minute you start, you gotta keep running. You gotta keep running because they're gonna be on you, and they paid well hourly. So you make great overtime. You're working 60 hours a week. All these local trucking jobs, you're gonna work 60 hours a week. So yeah, so I was making great hourly there, and I did that for 18 months, and I saved my money. And at this time, it was 2023. It was 2023. And I'm like, all right, 2024 is about to come around. So I need to start saving. I need to, start saving for my house, And it was 2023. And basically what happened, I ended up working with them, saved everything. When I tell you everything, I was saving, because from the self-employment that ended in 2021, there was a gap. And that gap was me because I couldn't find anything local. And so during that whole time, like I was just, there was a gap. And so I started with them. I was working, I saved my money, and I found out about this coin called PayPay. So this is 2023. Nobody knew what the heck PayPay was. But in 2023, this coin was developed and it was listed. And it was just on Dex Screener. People in 2023 April, this guy purchased $200 worth of PayPay. And end of May, he made $2 million off $200. And he was all over, people were talking about this guy. He was all over the internet. He was, viral. Nobody knows who he is, but they were just talking about a situation. So with that being said, now I'm like, I did not know about this situation until September, October. That's when I started finding out about this coin. So from the period of from May until September, I saved up with the CDL job. I saved up approximately about 18,000. And I decided, I was like, I was couple weeks into this job, and I'm like, God, I remember one morning, because you started at early hours. You started like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., anywhere from 3 to 5 a.m. And I remember like one day I pulled up at one of my stops, and I opened that trailer door, and I just looked at the trailer, and I'm like, God, please, like, there have to be another way, like, to life, because this is physical work, and when you're doing local, you're touching the stuff, because you're a final mile. You're taking that stuff into the store and so on and so forth. So I ended up finding out about PayPay. I asked, I was pleading with God. I'm like, God, it has to be another way. It has to be. Like, I never envisioned that my life would have turned out to be dripping in sweat by 5 a.m., 4 a.m. every single day. Yeah, you're off on weekends, but trust me, Saturday comes around, you cannot move. You can't move out of your own bed because your body's aching. So with that being said, I went home one day. It was October. I closed my eyes. I didn't tell my mom nothing. I didn't tell nobody nothing. I closed my eyes and I held my breath. And I said, God, I'm going to take this risk. Based upon what I saw in 2020, now that I know how to purchase this PayPay coin, on chain, and do it correctly with the slippage and everything, I'm going to take this risk. Because I believe in myself. I believe in the knowledge, what I learned. And I want to say I was more 60% into belief and 40% in doubt. But I knew for a fact, like, I'm already picturing, like, okay, I take a mortgage. 4 or 5 years down the line, this supervisor that I had at the time, he's only on about, oh, why'd you take so long? Oh, I don't want to, those types of people that get to you, And I did it as much, I did it. And I ACH'd $18,000 into PayPay, and I held my breath. That was 2023. Before the current president that we have had announced that he's rerunning for presidency. So when he decided that he was going to announce for presidency, I remember one day I was watching a show. I don't know what show it was. It was like a late night show, and he was on there, and he had laughed when the person who was hosting the show, he had laughed, he had smiled. He gave this smile when he was asked if he's going to rerun for presidency. And keep in mind, I already purchased the $18,000 in PayPay. He smiled, and the smile that he gave was, you could tell something was up. And I was like, I remembered his first presidency. And this has nothing to do with politics or anything like that. It's just what he did for the market in 2016. 2016, we all knew that the market went crazy. All-time highs, NASDAQ, S&P, and so on and so forth. That's the U.S. stock market went crazy. So with that being said, a couple months later, or a couple weeks later, I can't remember when he announced he was rerunning. He announced that he's going to rerun for presidency for 2020. Not 2020, sorry, 2024. And that was announced, and nothing is really happening, but things are jumping. Pepe, all of these crypto coins, they're jumping, they're moving. And that happened, and he announced that he was going to rerun, and the crypto market liked it. So I'm like, holy smokes. Like, I betted on this coin and I ended up getting way better than what I want, because I'm thinking if he comes in, that means it's positive. It should be positive. So so 2024, before the elections, he's campaigning, and they're saying that he's going to be the best crypto president, and so on and so forth, and the markets are going to do well. And don't get me wrong, the US stock market is doing well right now. I don't know, I haven't checked recently, since the whole gas prices stuff and so on and so forth. But he came and he said what he's gonna do, and I was like, okay, all right, I like it. Everybody liked it. I mean, I have crypto CT. I don't know if you guys know what CT is. Crypto Twitter was going nuts. It was going crazy. So he came in the night that he got elected. No, backtrack. January 2024, Bitcoin had its first ETF by Fidelity, BlackRock, and so on and so forth. Crypto went crazy. So I went from 18,000 in 1 week. I went from 18,000 to $75,000. And this was just a Bitcoin ETF. And that happened, and that didn't stop at 70. It didn't stop at just 75,000. What happened was it kept going, because when Bitcoin overpowers Ethereum, Ethereum kind of comes down, and then when Bitcoin dominance is down, Ethereum kind of is more dominant. ETH BTC chart, if you guys know anything about those charts, Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum dominance, and so on and so forth. If you know how they work, you pretty understand what I'm saying. So Bitcoin started to do its thing, and it took us up to 75, and then Ethereum started to do its thing, and it took us a little bit more than 75,000. I want to say about, in a span of a month, I was up over 100,000, and I invested 18 grand. So I'm like, holy smokes, like I can finally, get on with my life. I can, build my dreams, everything that I wanted to manifest. And keep in mind, this was a huge risk. So May comes around, and just like the Bitcoin ETFs, we got the Ethereum ETF. It was approved. Now everything started to fly even more. I went up from about 130,000, 135. I went up to like 225,000. So I added basically another 100,000. And I think this is when he announced his presidency, and then he started campaigning, and things pretty much flatlined at that $225,000 mark since May all the way up until 2024. 2024 November, he got elected. He said he's gonna be the crypto president. And we all believed him, and he came in and he got elected, and that night in November I flew. I want to say about $30,000-$40,000 I flew up. So now I'm at like 220, about 20,000 I flew up. I was at 240 something now. That night in November 2024, April 5th. Um, and December, so now Bitcoin is doing its thing, right? So that's why the coin went up to $20,000 more, from 220 to 240. So Bitcoin is doing its thing. Then end of November, Bitcoin kind of cools off. Now Ethereum dominance starts doing its thing. So PayPay is on Ethereum. So PayPay went all the way up even further. So now I'm at $350,000. Keep in mind, in 2023, I invested $18,000. I'm up $350,000. And this whole time, since 2023, when I start moving and I start seeing that I'm up $100,000 in January in 2024, I wasn't really saving the cash like what I was dumping, I was buying, but now I'm buying at a more expensive level. So I'm basically dollar cost averaging, but it's getting higher and higher. So the power of the money is getting less and less. So because PayPay is moving. So I'm up 350,000. So I'm talking to all the peoples that I got to know during this journey. And this is where I should have just been I should just stick to myself, stay meditating, stick to myself, stick with my gut. So I'm listening to all these people and they're all going back and, what happened to Dogecoin in 2020, May. So now we're waiting for something called alt season, because that's what happened in 2020 when all those coins, Shiba Inu, Dogecoin, that's when they all went crazy, was under alt season. So now we're calculating how long did alt season take to happen when something gave in 2020. So Shiba Inu started as doing its thing in December, end of December. It started trickling a little bit, but it's not noticeable trickle, going up, life changing. But it was basically one second, guys. So it was basically what we were waiting for was alt season. So they were all saying on crypto Twitter, we're gonna get it around May. So I was around May, all right. So I'm okay, so I'm up 350,000. We're gonna hold out until May and let's see. So just before May, what happened was tariffs were announced. And this is 2025 April. Tariffs were announced. April 4th, the market took a tank. It took a tank and I was still holding. I went from 350,000 to 200,000 and zoop. It was around May. It was around May now, and I'm down. I'm going down. And everybody on crypto Twitter, they're stay holding, but we're all confused because alt season was supposed to happen in May. When we calculated 5 months after. Okay, December, we shot up the first leg, because if you look at Dogecoin, it went up, came down, went up, went aside again, and then went up to the top. So that happened in a span of 5 months. So we're thinking okay, we're on the first up. Then we're gonna come down a little bit. And then around April, May, we're gonna go up. And then either at that point we would top or we would do another leg. But the problem is that we didn't, the first leg, second, we didn't do that second up. And that's what was stopped. It was, without the tariffs, it would have went into alt season in May. So I held and held, and um, in the end, fast forward everything, I held for up until November 2025, and I lost that entire $350,000, and it affected me, but I kind of got over it. We're in 2026 now. It threw me back because everything that I dreamt of, I worked so hard for that money, and everything that I wanted to do, because I knew for a fact from the jump, like I did not want to drive a truck, and at the time, like with sales is kind of like a hit or miss, and I needed to know for sure, like I'm gonna get this money because the whole crypto thing that I learned about, I needed for sure money to invest. And sales is a hit or miss. Yeah, you can make more. Yeah, some months you can make, nothing, pretty much, or you end up owing the company because they have draws. So I ended up losing that. It put me in a huge depression for a long time. And I mean, that's what you get, like they say, no crying in the casino. But it's gonna mentally messed me up. So I had no choice. I took some time to capture myself, and I have no choice but to, get out the depression at the time, get out the depression I was in, and that's where I stand. And I hope you guys, enjoy this video, and if you learned something about it, listen. The easy part is the green button, the buy button. The two hardest parts now is gonna be the holding and when to sell, because I look back at it and I was telling my little sister the other day, I was like, maybe God made this not happen because he knew, like, okay, if I decided to, if that did happen, right? Because my goal is that I was gonna purchase cash. That was what my goal was. And based on everything, like how everything was supposed to happen, minus the tariffs and, stuff like that, I could have done it because I was up 350,000 before all season happened. And keep in mind, all season didn't even happen yet. People are still speculating, like, is it gonna happen? Or nobody knows, because now you're dealing with a war, and it's just too much, and it's just too much of an emotional roller coaster. And my problem was that I went in with everything. At the time, it was everything, and yeah, like I said, the easiest parts is just pressing the green button, but understanding charts and when to sell and so on and so forth, that's the hardest part, and a lot of people ignore those things. Like, they look back at charts, like for example Shiba Inu, like I look back at it and I'm like, if I bought here and I sold here when it topped, in the moment you don't know when is it gonna top. So you got to be very careful now. I don't think like we're ever gonna see the big moves, the volatile high movements like we saw in 2020 and 2021 before everything started to get regulated, like the ETFs for Fidelity and BlackRock, and ever since those things started come into play, I don't think we're gonna see those big moves like everybody knew what crypto was back in 2020 and early 2024. Like I said, guys, placed me in a huge depression. If I continue from that 18,000 just saving physical hard cash, fiat in the crypto world, if you guys know, it's called fiat, I would have probably been like over 100,000, or close to it. So yeah. So, but you live, you learn, and I don't know if, I highly doubt. Well, at this point in my life, I highly doubt I will invest into it. So, yep, I hope you guys enjoy this video today, and be sure to, like, comment, share, subscribe, and you guys enjoy. Have a great day. Bye. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys how much I lost. Um, I lost. So I invested 18,000. I ended up leaving with $12,000. So yeah. So just to fill you guys in, 18,000, 350,000, 12,000. So, yep. Anyways, guys, peace.